within any business, there are things that almost anybody could do. And so often I find owners doing those things that somebody else could do. But there are some things that only the owner can do. And that's where the most value is added for the owner.
It's a control thing, right? Like your business is your baby. You're scared to let anyone touch it. But
It's your first love, you know, it's hard to let go. As a leader, as a business owner, sometimes we feel like we shouldn't have to develop people, but let's be real. I mean, that's part of the give back, not just in business, but in the community and things that we do, is to pour back into people and develop people.
I think that's the only way you can scale your business, is to care about your people, invest in your people. So I'm excited to welcome David Dowdy on the show today. Thanks for being here. So David is a seasoned business coach and strategist who helps business owners build systems and grow their companies. David is a certified coach through ActionCOACH here in the Lake Norman area. And he has spent decades in sales, management, and entrepreneurship himself. So we're excited to have you here today. Thanks for coming on.
Great to be here, Tasha.
Did I miss anything about?
No, I just hear the seasoned in decades, and I know from the gray hair now, it kind of gives away the decades.
Actually, tomorrow will be a decade since I've been in this business. So
congratulations.
It's not that long, I feel like it flies by.
Yeah, there's only a small percentage of people that make it to a decade, so congratulations.
Yeah, hey, thank you.
Doing something right.
And today I do want to focus the conversation on trades business owners, if we could.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. So can you talk about what pulled you into coaching to begin with?
Yeah, it wasn't by design. I was born and raised in small business, but after working a short stint with Procter & Gamble as an analytical chemist, chemical sales and all that, but what actually got me into this 13 years ago was a surprise layoff. I got downsized. And it was another incident where I recognized it's so nice to own your own business and be in control of things.
Yeah.
To be honest, I had no idea what business coaching was about. Never heard of it, but at the time I was one of the recent iterations of my career was as a general contractor, and I went bust in that 07, 08 downturn in the housing crisis. And when I learned what business coaching was, I realized that, gosh, I remember sitting on the back of the truck talking with Russ, my drywall guy, and talking with Brent, the plumber. I ended up buying that company while I was building houses, and so it was a lot of the same things that I was already doing. And then I realized that, boy, I could have a career actually doing what I love doing, talking about business and kind of helping other business owners think through things. And not that I've got all the answers, but through the dialogue of talking with somebody, that's where, I can do that. I can do that. And it forces people to go further than they would on their own.
Right.
It's really exciting.
I didn't realize you had a general contracting company.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Back in the day, I started in 2000, even for 6 years following my getting my general contractor's license. I was still in chemical sales, burning up the road 65,000 miles a year, raising 3 kids, married, all that. Yeah. And the time came in 2006 to get into construction full time and get off the road. Great strategy.
Right before the recession.
Terrible timing. Terrible timing. So that's a key learning. Timing is so much of the success path too. Yeah. It's not right or wrong. It's got to be the right timing as well.
Yeah, some things are just out of our control, but
Absolutely.
You learned from it, right? So when you start working with trades business owners, because I know you probably have a multitude of clients, but I know you have a lot of trades clients.
About half of the folks that we get to work with right now are in the construction trades. Okay. And that wasn't necessarily by design, but I do know
you know how to communicate.
I know the mindset, I know how it works, and it's been a good fit.
So when you're working with trades business owners, what are the first things that you look at when you come into their business?
There's so much to look at because generally there's a lot of chaos, of course. But one of the telltale signs is I look at how much time they're putting in how much are they working with the tools? How much are they in the field versus, are they actually a technician or are they a business owner? And it's a tough transition for most of them to go from being that technician because that's where they started. That's what they know. That's their comfort zone. And it's tough to let go of the tools and get into the office and do some of the planning and the training and the preparation and even their own personal development because you pick up a plumber. or electrician. They get ongoing education and training, continuing education in their field. They don't do anything on the business side. I mean, you know firsthand working with other tradespeople, it's so, they get so wrapped up in doing the work, I gotta go make the money today. And then a year later, 5 years later, they're still doing the same thing. They haven't built a business. They're making a living, earning the money, but they're doing the work of a technician, not of a business owner. And so the rewards are as a technician, not as an owner.
Right.
You get reap what you sow, right?
Yes, I can see that for sure. So what are the most common blind spots that you see?
There's so many blind spots, again, because it's a different skill set, but more often than not, it's what I see as a lack of focus. In the trades, in any business, things are coming at you from every direction, and everything has a sense of urgency to it. So a lot of the blind spot is thinking, if I can work on something today, it'll be better tomorrow. It's just gonna be a different fire you're fighting tomorrow. So it's a level of focus really is the biggest issue.
So how do you coach them to navigate what to focus on first?
More often than not, it's find time. Because if we can simplify some things and eliminate some chaos from early on, and really it's a simple, put it in front of them, and we do a little time study for a week, 2 weeks, and just see where people are spending their time. And then, you may have heard the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule. 80% of the benefits come from 20% of the activities. What are we doing that's really adding value? More often than not, there's a lot of activities that aren't really moving the needle. And so if we can get rid of some of the dumb stuff and focus on more of the important things, we can free up 15 minutes in the first week or 30 minutes, and then it becomes an hour, and then it becomes several hours. We talk about working on the business at least 4 or 5 hours a week. That's 10% of a 40-hour week. My gosh, you can get so much done with your head down and focusing on the right things.
Yeah, I didn't have anybody coaching me until I was maybe like 4 or 5 years into the business, and I actually had a cleaning company that we hired a coach for, and he realized
so you've had multiple as well.
And he knew that I had this commercial door company, but he could see that I was like in chaos mode all the time, just from the outside when we would go to conferences. And he had me do exactly what you're saying, a time audit for like a week or two, and he was like, why are you doing all of these $15 an hour tasks while you're the owner and we have so many more important things? So like within a week, I hired my first office staff, and it's like now I have an entire, office full of people in a couple locations. But it started with me having to realize I was not focusing on the right things by writing it down. So I get that.
It's so true. I mean, there's only so many hours in the day. And there's, within any business, there are things that almost anybody could do. And so often I find owners like yourself doing those things that somebody else could do. But there are some things that only the owner can do.
Right.
And that's where the most value is added for the owner. If they will let go of the tools, get out of the rat race.
It's a control thing, right? Like your business is your baby. You're scared to let anyone touch it. But
it's your first love. It's hard to let go. Nobody else can do it as good as I can, right?
Right, which just isn't true. It's just not true. Okay, cool. So what trends are you seeing right now that business owners need to be prepared for?
It's not necessarily new, but it seems to be getting worse, that the talent pool of skilled tradesmen or individuals that are interested in getting into the trades is just tough. I mean, it's not that exciting or alluring. I mean, I'm a parent, and I've got kids, and that generation is kind of growing up using their thumbs instead of their whole hands, and they're looking for easier ways in many cases to make a living. But I can tell you that there are people out there that still want to do good things and do something with, there's some kind of special feeling when you can do some work and then look and see the finished product. A lot of the digital kind of things, you can't really see it's a black box. You can't really see and feel those benefits. But I think the trend is fewer and fewer people going into the trades, which means supply and demand. The value of the trades is going to be increasing more and more, and AI can't take away that.
Right. Yeah, I think we're going to see a shift in people who are actually wanting to go into the trades because they realize they have more job security and
Yeah.
and they get paid well.
Potentially. And it's not glorious. I mean, a lot of the trades where you're in an attic or under a house or in some, and susceptible to the weather, but boy, it can be a really, really good living. Whether you are a tradesperson or have a trades business, if you figure out how to work with people, businesses are scaled. We may talk about how you scale businesses and systems and things, but really it's scaled through people. So one of the key aspects, and that's another trend that is unfortunate, that there's less and less direct communication. There's a lot of texting and emails and all that. And so the ability to communicate, that trend is going down.
Oh yeah.
So those that you know that from leading a team of people and having the successes, and you must have mastered some of that just based on the retention rate that you have. But that is a skill that needs to be developed by business owners, especially in the trades, to be able to communicate with this generation that's coming up.
Yeah, I agree. And I think I've learned over the years, like, you can't communicate with everyone the same way, right? Like, the 20-year-old will not take communication the same way as our 45-year-old technician. So
Right.
I've had to learn how to work on my communication skills based on who I'm talking to.
Absolutely. And it's interesting, the generations, like at my age, there was a type of management that was in place that was just tell them what to do and they're supposed to go do it. And now you've got to kind of work it in a little bit different way. The types of communication are different, and what younger folks want is different than what the previous generations have really wanted. So
Right.
it's a different approach, but they're still out there. There's some people, and we get to talking about the people side of business, and people are just raised differently. There's pressures at home, and their upbringings are different. The parenting is different. The schools are different. And so when they get into the workforce, they've just been trained under a different set of rules that you and I were trained under.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So a lot of grace, and meet people where they are. As a leader, as a business owner, sometimes we feel like we shouldn't have to develop people, but let's be real. I mean, they're coming in that's part of the give back, not just in business, but in the community and things that we do is to pour back into people and develop people for their improvement, and so they can be a contributor to society.
Right.
And our businesses too.
I think that's the only way you can scale your business, is to care about your people, invest in your people. That was leading into my next question. I was going to ask, how do you coach your clients to build teams that scale? So is it through communication? Is it through?
A lot of it is communication and understanding that like you said, everyone is so different. And being able, gosh, what's the analogy of, you play the card game with the cards you're dealt. You got to figure out how to use what you have. If you're going to cross your arms and go, nobody wants to work, nobody wants to do it anymore, nobody wants to make the effort.
No one will want to work for you.
That's exactly right. And it's going to be a rough road in business. And that's frankly why a lot of businesses don't make it, is because they're not willing to adapt to what we're working with now. Mm-hmm. So a little grace and training and trying to coach people up into like, realistically, a lot of folks were raised without parents or without parents at home. And so, they haven't been trained how to accept responsibility and accountability and ownership of certain roles. So it's kind of slowing down a little bit. And to your point of different people communicating different ways, to learn about them and be able to be a chameleon and adapt to communicate with this person in one way and somebody else in a different way and somebody else in a different way, all for their good and for the good of the company and the rest of the team. Building those teams is being really, really strict on the culture, what is acceptable and what will not be tolerated. And then there becomes a mutual respect of, hey, we're all in this together and we all know what the rules of the game are. Being clear with that and not tolerating things that aren't acceptable helps build that team that much stronger. It's the fluffiness and the inconsistencies that drive people crazy.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think your standards aren't like what you said, but it's what you tolerate. So I try to teach my team that,
Yeah.
And
the training thing, we're training people along those lines. If we train them that will tolerate anything, they just go further with that.
Right.
So it's not that hard. You just kind of start strong and maintain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you coach on accountability?
That is such a tough one.
I know.
Because like I said, a lot of folks are at a point in life, they're not used to accountability. in the schools, at home, even in some of their previous jobs. And I'll spin it around actually to where you can't coach people to accountability. Like you came into this business and you had a coach because you agreed that it was to your improvement, your betterment, if you had somebody to be accountable to. So if we spin that term around, I like to look at it as an employee is coming in, not for me to hold them accountable, but they are agreeing as a team member in my company that they want to count to me. They are accountable because they are agreeing to count to me what they're doing, how they're matching up with their goals and what their results are. So it's 100% on them. I can ask them how things are going, but it's 100% on them to want to count, to give those results. And then it goes back again to who are we recruiting and who are we allowing onto the team? If you're bringing somebody in that isn't willing to be accountable or count to your results, it's going to be a tough road.
Right.
But a lot more filtering in the interviewing process and onboarding process to make sure that we do have people that are buying into accountability. You know, we can yell and scream all we want to and penalize, write them up, but they've got to agree. I mean, I'm sure you've dealt with that too.
Oh yeah. Like, I think accountability is the hardest thing, especially as you build out teams and other leaders, and we have to coach them now to hold their team members accountable. And what does that look like? But for us, I just make sure we have very clear goals, and why are these goals in place? How does it align with the vision? Yeah. Because if they don't understand why they're doing something, or they don't understand a certain KPI, then of course they're probably not going to hit it or not going to try because they don't understand. But a lot of people have too much pride to ask, so it's up to us to make sure they understand. I went plenty of months where I'm like, why are these KPIs not being met? And they're like, what does it even mean? I'm like, oh, you're asking me at the end of the quarter? What do you? So I've had to coach myself to make sure I'm have everything in simple terms, and then how does it align to where we're going?
That's great. They've got to understand what they are. And even today, I'm helping another client I'm working with rewrite job description for the posting to recruit. And in the job description, there's a lot of, you'll be responsible for this, and here's the task you do. And but what's the outcome? What is the purpose of the role? And how are we going to measure that? If it's square feet, units sold, installed, but what's the outcome? And how does that contribute to the bigger picture for the company? Right. Once they understand that, then all those the tasks, the responsibilities all feed into that outcome we're after.
Right.
But it is funny. They're like, yeah, I think I'm doing a good job. Whereas you think their job is something entirely different, and there's that mismatch.
Yeah.
The clarity is often lacking.
Yeah. What is the biggest mistake you see trades owners make?
They don't pay attention to the numbers. We're just talking about the KPIs, the key performance indicators, but the financials are a huge piece of it. And traditionally, right, most business owners don't look at their financials until the tax preparer says, hey, you had a good year, you didn't have a good year, or they're just looking at the bank account. It's not an indication of the business. But understanding the financials will tell you everything you need to know about the business, right? Where you're really strong or where you might need to apply a little attention. But ignoring the financials either cause lack of understanding or scared of what they might see. Mm-hmm. is one of the big things. But going back to where we were a few minutes ago, it's the lack of focus. They're spread too thin, they're overwhelmed. The chaos is in the business, and simplifying things and paying attention to what's really going to move the needle, I think is one of the biggest mistakes. Is they think they can do it all and work their way out of it. Can't do it.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. For many years, we didn't ever look at the financials. No one really had insight. I saw them, retroactively, but now we look at them proactively, and our leadership team meets every single morning. We go through every department's, the revenues, the sales, the break-even days, all of this stuff, and everyone can truly drive action from that data. But if you don't have the financials, or if you don't know your numbers, you don't know where you're going. So,
you're just flying blind.
Yeah.
That's
and
right.
I'm surprised how many years we did that. And I'm like, how did we get by and grow? But it was chaos.
Yeah. And it's amazing. You can be successful with a very sloppy business, not paying attention to some of the things, but my goodness, just that little bit extra effort.
But your team feels that.
Yes, they do. They sense it. they know it. Sounds like a little pain point there that you experienced.
We have, yeah, we got through it.
Yeah.
So I think I know the answer to this, but should a company scale and then build systems, or build systems and then scale?
Yeah. So what he's saying, in my perspective, it's put the systems in place.
Yeah.
Businesses traditionally scale through people. You can really double your business in two ways, like double the amount of people doing exactly the same thing, or get twice as efficient and
Right.
your profit doubles. But there's some limitations to how much you can get more and more efficient. So we're actually scale through people. Look at all the fast food chains, all the franchises, they're built on systems, and then people run the systems. Yeah, small systems to eliminate some chaos, and then as you start growing, get more and more robust systems and stick to them, and that allows you to scale infinitely, really.
Yeah. I think too, as you grow, and what I've noticed is, every time we hit a certain, maybe it's $1 amount per year, like a certain system breaks, like your systems are always evolving. And that's the hard part. Cause like I'm a visionary. I just want to go like create things and open new locations. But then I'm like, oh shit, the system broke again. Now I got to go back and, cause as you scale, like the same systems that worked a year ago may not work today.
So how do you know when the system is starting to break down?
When it's not efficient anymore or causing more work than it should.
And what's the report that might show you that?
It's usually in like the profitability.
There you go. So the fact that you're looking at those reports, you're looking at efficiencies and throughput and all that. If you're looking at the numbers, it'll show when, okay, that system isn't scalable.
Yeah.
We got to revise the system.
Or unclear data, right? Like we realize that we need a new inventory system because we can't properly pull those numbers. So there's not clear data, and where there's like this gray area, I know there's a system break there.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And we were talking about people a few minutes ago, and you said just now, you're one that is a visionary. You just want to go.
Yeah.
And there are people that are wired like that. And thank God we're not all wired the same. Like everybody brings something to the table, but in certain roles, being fully aware, I'm looking for an individual that is more wired to follow a process. You would not want a visionary doing your income tax returns.
No.
Right? We each bring something different, and matching up that natural tendency with the role can be gold. That's, getting the right people in the right seats on the bus.
And I know this because I've talked to you, but you guys coach doing this through personality tests, or what is it called again that you use for your clients?
Use a lot of DISC assessments. It's a sort of personality. It's more of a communication and behavioral style assessment. So it allows us to see what natural tendencies exist. If somebody is a little more outgoing and likes to be creative and do their own thing, like, you wouldn't want to put them in a routine kind of role.
Right.
But there are others that really may not want to see the light of day or talk to other people, and they'll put their nose down and just grind out the work. Phenomenal in those roles. So matching that up is key. I also use another one really called motivators that doesn't just look at the way people behave and communicate and things. It's more about the values inside and what excites them. And there are some that just want to help people. There's some that are driven for the money. They're really competitive. Some really get excited by having a process or by being willy-nilly, like whatever. So matching all those things up for the roles is where a lot of the team development and the scalability of a company comes in getting some of those things fine-tuned. It's huge in the actual results.
It is, yeah. Like I didn't implement any of that for a long time, and afterwards I made all of my leadership team. It wasn't DISC, but it was something similar. Take an exam like that, and it turns out we had about 5 out of the 6 had the same personality profile, and I was like, oh, this is why you guys all work against each other, because you have this personality of like a sales leader, but you're not all sales leaders. So it was interesting to see that, and it kind of explained how they work together a little bit better to me.
That's awesome. You kind of pick up on it, but when you get to see a report, oh, there is some science behind it, and it makes it more clear for all to see. And the key is not to really ask people to change and adapt.
No, but maybe they're in the wrong position.
That's exactly, yeah.
Maybe
and you don't want to lose them. You want to keep them, help them be fulfilled.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go through some rapid fire questions. So just answer whatever comes to your mind. They're not crazy. They're
okay.
Okay. Profit or freedom, which is harder to achieve?
Freedom.
What's the best coaching advice you ever received?
Everything is neutral until I give it a meaning.
Okay, I like that. Most underrated trait of a business owner?
The ability to focus.
What's the most common excuse you hear?
I'm too busy. I don't have time. I don't have time.
Okay, yep.
Sure you never heard that one.
One piece of advice you'd give your younger self as a business owner?
Relax. There's not a finish line. This is a journey. Like every step along the way is adding value. Learn something, just keep learning every day, and the path kind of works its way out. So don't get caught up.
You're good at this. Okay, those were all my rapid fire.
I've learned a lot. I'm a little seasoned.
I wasn't calling you old when I said that.
Oh, no problem.
Okay, so one last thing. If a trades owner is listening today, what's one thing you want them to walk away with?
Stay the course. You and I are kind of cut from the same cloth. We've been through it, and you've had a coach. I've had coaches, still have coaches. And it is so difficult for any individual. A very, very small percentage of people in the population can optimize themselves and get full results on their own. We're just not wired to do it. And so having somebody in your corner, somebody along your side to help you, the reality is business is logical. You do certain things. Go read the books, go listen to podcasts, there's certain steps that you do, but we're emotional human beings, and our emotions make us do dumb things sometimes, or don't do things that need to be done. And so having a mentor, a group of people, a coach, somebody to help you balance those things out and encourage you to keep moving forward. Do not try and do it alone. Find somebody.
Yeah.
I wish I had years ago. I probably wouldn't have suffered some of the losses that I had. Good learnings in them, but it could have been a little less costly.
I agree. Okay, so if someone wants to reach you, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Oh, the easiest way is ActionCOACHLakeNorman.com.
Okay.
And love to chat. Love to chat with anybody that wants to kind of break through to another level. Love the coffees and love the chats about business. Thanks so much for having me on this.
Thank you. This was great. I feel like I learned, so thank you for the coaching session.
Great. Thanks for doing this. And
all right. Thank you.